Hi, my name is Veronica. I am from Orange County, California, and I have been working with TIGI Color since June of 2011, and I have continued working with TIGI Copyright Color when they made the transfer in 2012. The reason I love TIGI Copyright Color is because the overall effect that it has on my clients. I love the fact that it has a beeswax base so that I can really get that creamy consistency all over their hair without worrying about the dry hair really sucking up too much of the product. I like that it has UV absorbers to help protect against the hair fading from natural sunlight. I also like that it has amino acids and sugar crystals in the hair to kind of help condition and add that kick of shine to it. I also like that there is chamomile in it to help soothe those clients who kind of get a little bit of an itchy scalp whenever they have the color on their scalp. The first color we're going to go over is the gloss. The gloss is great and gives you full control when darkening the hair, changing the level, or maintaining the tone. I really like the gloss because it adds a lot of shine, and being a demi-permanent, it can actually break up a lot of the permanent buildup due to past experiences. The Radiant Gloss lasts approximately up to 20 shampoos, depending on how healthy the client's hair is. It doesn't give much lift, and it also blends up to 50% gray, so it's not great to use on your older clients who are mainly gray. It has up to 1 level of lift on completely virgin hair. The gloss can be mixed with 5 volume, 8.5, along with 20 volume developers. And the activators we're going to go over a little bit later after we finish talking about the rest of the color. So the next is our creative. The creative color is a permanent creme emulsion that allows up to 4 levels of lift along with 100% complete gray coverage, and it really gives you control when you're darkening and changing the tones of the hair. I like to use creative on my clients that are 50% gray or more, just because they do need that complete coverage. The activators that need to be used with the creative color are actually the whole spectrum of activators. So you can use your 5 volume, you can use your 8.5, your 20, 30, and 40 volume. With your 8.5 volume, you're just going to be depositing only because it is a low level of peroxide percentage. And with the deposit only, it also means that you're not going to get that 100% gray coverage. It will give you a little bit of gray blending, but if you're looking for that 100% gray coverage, then you will have to use 20 volume. So with 20 volume, it is safe for on-scalp, off-scalp, and it gives you that 100% gray coverage. It also allows up to 2 levels of lift. With the 30 volume developer, it gives you up to 3 levels of lift, and the 40 gives you up to 4 levels of lift. Now we're going to talk about our High Lift series. The High Lift series is one of my personal favorites in the whole color spectrum of TIGI Copyright Color. I really like it because on virgin hair it can get up to 5 levels of lift with 40 volume. So with 8.5 you can get up to 2, with 20 you can get up to 3, and with 30 you can get up to 4, and again 40 being up to 5 levels of lift. The processing time with the High Lift series is 35 minutes, and it is very vital to follow the 35-minute processing time. Simply because in the first 10 to 15 minutes, the color is going to be lifting the hair, and with the remainder of the time, it is going to be depositing the rest of the tone. It can be used on the scalp and off the scalp, and it's really fun to use on my blondes. I have one blonde model, Stephanie. I actually included her picture along with my application with her before and afters, and what I did on Stephanie is I did a classic highlighting technique, but also did a tint between using the High Lift series at her roots to really get her to bump her base up about 3 levels. So now she went from a natural level 3 to about to an artificial level 6 to 7. She loves the fact that she's much more blonde than she used to be, and she has definitely been returning ever since then. The last color that we're going to go over is the Mixmaster. The Mixmaster is also the last color in the color spectrum of TIGI Copyright Color, before we go on to talk about the True Light White, and so on. So with the Mixmasters, they actually reflect the whole principle of the entire color spectrum, and they are also used to help neutralize and intensify tones in the hair itself. Now with the Mixmasters, they go on a scale of 0 to 8, 8 if you want to get technical. 0 is actually clear, and then you go over with your 1 being blue, your 2s being violets, 3 is gold, 4 being copper, 5 being mahogany, 6 being red, 7 being green, 8 being calibrated ash, with your over 8 also being calibrated ash. Within the color spectrum, you have your warm colors and you have your cool colors. Your warm colors are going to be your colors like reds, your coppers, and your yellows, while your your cool colors, are going to be your blues, your greens, and your violets. Now, in the color spectrum, we actually don't have an over 7 Mixmaster. It has been taken place of by the calibrated ash. The over 8 calibrated ash is better used on level 6 and higher, and also helps to neutralize those lighter tones, while your over 8.8 is more equipped to neutralize tones of levels 5 and darker. Now we're going to go over reading the color itself. The TIGI copyright color uses a numeric system, so an example of one of the colors would be a 4/8.5. 4/8.5 is in mahogany ash brown, and the way that you read the colors is as follows. All of the numbers that are going to be found before the / have to do with the level. So with the level, it is a number system based on 1 through 10, and is a universal level system, so 1 being black versus 10 being lightest blonde. Now, everything that comes after the / is going to be your tones. So again, the example that I gave was a 4/8.5, 4 being a level 4, which is a just brown, and over 8.5, so you have your over 8, which is your calibrated ash, and your over 5, which is your mahogany. Now there's a little trick here because the over 8.5 has 2 numbers. The one that comes before is our primary number, which is the over 8, which is calibrated ash, meaning that there is going to be more calibrated ash present in the color itself versus mahogany. If we were going to measure it out, we would probably say that there was anywhere between 3 to 6 inches of calibrated ash in the color, along with 1 to 3 inches of mahogany in the color as well. Alright, so now that we've gone over each color in the color spectrum, I kind of want to give you a brief little overview one more time. The gloss, again, is great when used for refreshing color, when used for breaking up permanent buildup from past chemical processing times. Also, I really like it when adding shine to the hair. The creative is great for using on your clients who need that complete gray coverage, or just if the hair is a little bit too coarse and the color doesn't really want to take to the hair very well. Your High Lift series is great for bumping up those levels just to get a little bit lighter. Like I said with Stephanie being a blonde, getting her to be that really light blonde, or even just bumping up a level 1 to just a level 3 using 20 or 30 volume. And again, the Mixmasters you can use with any developer, and it does act the same as creative as far as lifting, and it really is great to get that extra pigment into the hair if you want to get that extra little shot of color in there, if you want to give the hair a little bit more vibrancy. If you want that 5/5 to be really mahogany, you can throw in that over 5.5 Mixmaster. Alright, so now that we've gone over completely the entire color spectrum, now we're going to move on to our lighteners. So with TIGI copyright color, we actually have 2 different lighteners. There is True Light and there is True Light White. With True Light, it is a lavender base, so the powder itself is going to be lavender in color. And the reason it is a lavender base is so that it can actually help get some of those yellow tones out of the hair as it starts to lift. With True Light, it can be mixed with any of the 4 developers, 8.5 being the least amount of lift, with 40 volume being the maximum amount of lift. It is not recommended to use heat along with lightening the hair. Also, with the 30 and 40 volume, it is okay to use off the scalp, but it is definitely not recommended to use on the scalp, just because it can be a little bit too much for your client's scalp and you don't want to leave them with any scabs or anything like that. Along with having the lavender base, the True Light also has 0 dust powder, which allows for a much safer working environment. It also has hydrolyzed keratin and aloe found within the lightener itself, so that way the hair can manage and maintain its combability after its process. So after your True Light, we also have our True Light White. Our True Light White actually does not have the lavender base, it has a white powder base, and it also has the 0 dust powder, so that way you also have that safer working environment. It is infused with amino acids, chamomile, and sugar crystals. The sugar crystals again will help to add the shine. The chamomile will help soothe the hair and soothe the scalp, and the amino acids will actually help to build up some strength. You also get a clear reading of the undertone with True Light White versus your True Light, which actually camouflages the undertone as it lifts. The reason you have both of these is so people can actually choose whether they would be more comfortable seeing the undertone as it's lifting, or if they're more comfortable with camouflaging it as it's lifting instead. The last thing we have to go over is our activators. So our activators need to be used with the entire color line, whether you're using gloss, creative, lift, Mixmasters, or either of the Lightners. And you also have 4 different types of activators. I'm sorry, there are 5 different types of activators. We have a brand new 5 volume that just came out quite recently. So with our activators, they deliver a controlled processing time based on the volume percentage that they are. So you have, again, you have your 5 volume, your 8.5 volume, your 20 volume, your 30 volume, and your 40 volume. So all in total, there are 5 separate developers. They create an accurate level, tone, and consistency. They are great because they actually have chamomile and aloe vera. Aloe vera is acting as kind of a conditioning agent towards the hair. And again, chamomile, which is also found in the color and in the lightener, helps to soothe the cuticle and helps soothe the scalp. It is a 1 to 1.5 mixing ratio all across the board. With our lighteners, it is a little different. It does say that it can be 1 to 1 to up to 1.1 to 2, but for the most part, it's only going to be a 1 to 1.5 mixing ratio. So now that we've done a brief overview of the color line, I did want to give you a little breakdown of one of the models that I worked in. Her name is Veronica, and she works in an office setting. Veronica's last visit with me was about 6 months ago, and what we had done is we did a root shade of 4/2, pulling through strands of 5/5 and 6/6, really bumping her up to be about a level 6. Now Veronica's come back to me letting me know that it was a little bit too loud for her, so she wanted to tone it down a little bit. So what we decided to do is play off of her natural and really play off of her regrowth. Now, because it has been about 6 months since her last visit, her regrowth has been quite substantial, about right at her parietal ridge. The formula that I decided to use on Veronica was actually a 4/8/5 going into a 4/5. The 4/8/5 in the color book is dark chocolate, and it really is that perfect chocolatey brown. Especially in the sunlight, the warmth just seems to kick out there, but it also has a little bit of calibrated ash to give it that little bit of a more natural look. Now, because we decided to play on her ombre-esque look, what I decided to pull through was a 4/5. In order to get the 4/5, what I had done is I had mixed 3/0 with 5/5, and because the color is equally calibrated, I was able to mix half and half to get a perfect mix to a 4/5. However, because it was a natural and a pre-mix with mahogany in it, the mahogany was diluted a tiny bit, so I put a couple inches, about 3 inches of the over 5/5 mahogany Mixmaster, just to give that little kick of warmth in through her ends. Now, when I also applied to her ends, I used a smudging technique, so that way we didn't see any hard lines of demarcation right where the mid-strand met the regrowth. I'm going to bring Veronica around right now, and we will be able to look at her color, along with go over it a little bit more. So here's my model Veronica, and again, like I said, we wanted to play on her natural tone, so I do have her kind of half sitting in the sun, half sitting in the shade, so that way we can kind of get a glimpse on both sides in natural light and also in artificial light. So because we used a 4/8/5 and she is that dark chocolate brown, when she's inside of her office, she is going to seem a lot more on the natural side. And again, even though we went through with that 4/5, it doesn't appear to be too loud and too out there for Veronica. Now in the sunlight, you can really start to see this like pop of warmth. You can really start to see those mahogany tones, and she really loves that because she's a very warm California girl who loves red tones. Now with Veronica being a little bit of a younger client, she actually does not have any gray that needs to be covered at this point in time. So what I did is I actually went ahead and I used our gloss. The reason I used gloss is because we're just depositing, and I was just adding tone along the top, maintaining the same level, and I was darkening along with adding tone into her mid-strand and ends. So one other important aspect that a lot of hairdressers need to think about aside from the color is the aftercare products. So because I like to use TIGI so much and I specialize with just TIGI products, I sent Veronica home with a handful of products from the Catwalk line. As you saw earlier, she does like to wear her hair in a straight manner and doesn't like it too big, too out there. So what I used is I used the Sleek Mystique Calming Shampoo and Conditioner, and I also sent her home with that, including the Sleek Mystique Blow Up Balm and the Sleek Mystique Hot Iron Spray. The reason I sent her home with 2 heat defenders, one being a serum and one being an oil-based aerosol can, is as follows. The blow-up balm protects roughly up to the 300 degrees in Fahrenheit, so probably about your blow-dry heat, and it also has a little bit of the shimmer in it, and it is a serum, so it's really going to help to give the hair that extra shine. So along with the blow-up balm, I also sent her home with the hot iron spray, or as I like to call the hot iron spray. I really love this product because, like I said, it is an oil-based aerosol can, so you do have a little bit more control as to where it goes, and also it protects up to 450 degrees Fahrenheit, which is as hot as my flat iron gets, so I always like to send it home with any of my clients who flat iron their hair, just because I do make it a point that they really need to have that thermal protection coating their hair so that not only does the color last, but that their hair maintains its healthy state. Thank you so much for your consideration and taking the time to watch my educational video. Again, my name is Veronica, and I do have pictures of all of my models that have been sent in along with my application. Thank you so much and have a great day.